Today we are going to talk about single and multicellular organisms, or single also means unicellular. You'll probably hear those words used interchangeably throughout this unit. The four characteristics that organisms must have include organization, the ability to develop and grow, the ability to respond to the environment, and the ability to reproduce. Three things that organisms need to live include energy, which organisms get from the sun and from food, living space, they have to have some place to live, and materials such as food, which is necessary for growth and reproduction, carbon dioxide, nitrogen, oxygen, and water. Some organisms do require those. All living things are made up of cells. The cell is the smallest unit that performs the activities of life. It's the basic unit of life. In a unicellular organism, a single cell carries out all of the activities of life. So a unicellular organism is only made up of one cell. A multicellular organism have different types of cells working together. They are considered more complex. So a multicellular organism doesn't just have one cell, they have many cells. So to remember those two so you don't get mixed up, the prefix uni means one, and the prefix multi means many or multiples. Euglena is an example of a unicellular organism. As you can see, I have uploaded a diagram on this slide so that way you can see what it looks like and the different parts of Euglena. Euglena is a one-celled freshwater organism that move with a long tail. That tail is referred to as flagellum and have a reddish eye spot and contains chlorophyll like plants do. So if it contains chlorophyll, that's why Euglena is green. It is considered a protozoan. Amoeba is a one-celled organism as well, so it's unicellular, and it constantly changes shape by forming pseudopods. That's how you say that word, pseudopods. So say that with me, pseudopods. Temporary projections that are used for movement and for the ingestion of food. So pseudopods are used for amoeba to get around from place to place and to take in food for itself. And again, I have uploaded a diagram of what amoeba looks like. Paramecium. Paramecium is another unicellular organism. It is a freshwater protozoan that is oval in shape and moves by means of cilia. Cilia are hair-like fibers that are on the outside of it. And as you can see, I also have, again, uploaded another diagram to show you what paramecium looks like and the different parts to paramecium. Volvox. Volvox is a multicellular organism. It's made up of many cells. And it has a colony means many, of ciliates containing chlorophyll as well. So Volvox is what color? If you said green, you are right, okay, because plants are green because they contain chlorophyll. Protozoans, these are one-celled organisms that have a nucleus. Protozoans are a parasite that lives in water and usually has cilia or flagella. So in other words, Euglena, Paramecium, Volvox, and amoeba are all protozoans because all of them contain cilia or flagella and they live in water. Microscope. A microscope is an instrument that makes objects appear bigger than they really are. I'm sure in the past some of you have worked with microscopes before. This is a diagram showing you what a microscope looks like and the different parts to it. Okay, we've talked about a little bit about plant and animal cells as far as they are made up of many parts, many organs, as you could say. Just like humans, humans are made up of different organs that includes the heart, kidneys, liver, etc. Well, so are plant and animal cells. They have different parts that make up those cells. So their organs include a cell membrane. A cell membrane forms the outer boundary of the cell and allows only certain materials to move into or out of the cell. So it controls what enters and what leaves that cell. And here's a diagram to show you what a cell membrane looks like. It's on the outermost part. It's what's shaded in purple. Another organelle is cytoplasm. Cytoplasm is the gel-like material inside a cell. It contains water and nutrients for the cell. The cytoplasm kind of holds all of the organelles inside the cell. A nucleus. We will be talking a lot about nucleus, not only in the cell and human body unit, but also in the genetics unit when we get to it in our third 9 weeks. A nucleus directs the activity of a cell. It contains chromosomes that has DNA in it. The nucleus is considered the brain of the cell. It controls everything. And the nucleus is located in the center of a cell. The nuclear membrane, it separates the nucleus from the cytoplasm. So again, you can see a diagram of what the nuclear membrane looks like. Mitochondria. Mitochondria are responsible for breaking down food and releasing energy to the cell. So a cell gets its energy from the mitochondria. Another organelle includes a vacuole. Vacuoles are storage areas for the cell. These storage areas can store food, water, or waste for the cell. Ribosomes. Ribosomes are located in the cytoplasm and endoplasmic reticulum. It uses information to build protein molecules. So ribosomes are responsible for making and building proteins in a cell. Now, there are a couple of organelles that are only found in plant cells. That means they are not found in animal cells. One of the two includes the cell wall. The cell wall provides structure to the plant cell. It is on the outermost part of a plant cell. So it's the green outline in this diagram that's labeled cell wall. Then on the inside of that cell wall is the cell membrane. And the second organelle that is only found in plants are chloroplasts. Chloroplasts contain chlorophyll that makes food for the plant cell. A plant cell has to have chloroplasts in order to carry out the process of photosynthesis, because in the chloroplast, that's where the energy and the sugars are made in order for the plant to have energy to carry out its life functions. And this is an example of what a chloroplast looks like if you were to put it underneath a microscope and see the inside of it. There's two different types of cells. There's eukaryotic and there's prokaryotic. Eukaryotic cells, they contain a nucleus that has genetic material, which is also referred to as DNA. You'll hear those two words used interchangeably as well, genetic material and DNA. And eukaryotic cells have organelles. So they have the nucleus that has the DNA, and it has all the organelles that we have just discussed, such as the cell membrane, the ribosomes, the mitochondria, and so on and so forth. Now, prokaryotic cells, however, do not have a nucleus. The genetic material, or the DNA, is located in the cytoplasm, and it has no organelles. So all it has is the cell membrane that holds in the genetic material that is located in the cytoplasm. And usually prokaryotic cells have cilia or flagella to help it move and get from place to place. Okay, the functions of the organelles. This is like a little cheat sheet, help you to remember what all of these organelles that we just discussed earlier do for the cell. So the organelles that are responsible for processing info or information for the cell includes the nucleus and the ribosomes. The organelles that are responsible for providing energy to the cell include chloroplast and mitochondria. The organelles that are responsible for processing and transporting things throughout the cell includes the endoplasmic reticulum and the Golgi apparatus. And the organelles that are responsible for storing, recycling, and waste in a cell include the vacuoles and the lysosomes. This is a diagram up close to see about an animal cell, all the different parts of an animal cell, what they look like, where they're located, the shape of them. And this is a diagram of a plant cell for the same reason. So that way you can see what it looks like, where the different organelles are located. So that way you can see all the different parts of a plant cell. Cell theory. Cell theory has 3 different statements that make it up. One of those statements include every living thing is made up of 1 or more cells. So everything that lives on Earth is made up of at least 1 cell, if not more. The second statement is cells carry out the functions needed to support life. So cells and the different organelles in the cells have different functions to help support the daily life functions that a cell needs in order to live. And the third statement is cells come only from other living things. Meaning, cells just don't come out of anywhere, out of nowhere. Cells have to come from something else that was living that was made up of cells before that. You can't just create a cell. It's gotta come from other living things. A domain is a broad category of living things based on characteristics of their cells. The 3 domains that cells are divided up in are archaic bacteria, and eukarya. Archaic bacteria and bacteria cells are prokaryotic cells. Those are the ones that are considered to be prokaryotic cells. And eukarya are eukaryotic cells. So a plant animal cell would be considered a eukaryotic domain and a eukaryotic cell. A eukarya is considered multicellular. It's made up of many cells. Examples include plants, animals, and fungi. Hierarchical organization. We're going to be talking a lot about this, especially whenever we get to the human body portion of this unit, because the basic unit of life is a cell. And when you have many cells put together, a group of similar cells that are organized to do a specific job, then a tissue is formed. An example for especially like the human body, an example of a tissue would be skin. Then, if you have a bunch of different tissues working together to perform a particular function, then an organ is created. An example includes, for the human body, would be an eye, a heart, a liver, a kidney. Then if you have a lot of organs and tissues working together, then an organism is created. An example of an organism would be humans, animals, plants. All of those would be considered organisms. But also, too, there's another hierarchical portion of this. Not only do you have cells, tissues, organ, but before you get to organism, whenever we're talking about human body later on, we'll be talking about organ systems, where there's a bunch of organs working together to form an organ system, such as the digestive system, such as the respiratory system, the skeletal system, the muscular system, the circulatory system. Then whenever you have all of those organ systems working together, then you have that organism that is formed. And these are the resources that I used for my PowerPoint.